now on to our third contestant who's joining us live via the wonders of Zoom. So hopefully, come up screen, we're going to see Nick Appleyard, CEO of TriStar Gold, and hopefully Nick's slides will be able to come up, and he will have 3 minutes as well. So Nick, if you can hear us, best of luck, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite for the investor pitch today. And it did get me thinking, why would such an esteemed group invest in a company like TriStar? And obviously I started thinking about maybe it's because of our board of directors. We have a great board of people who can choose which companies they'd like to go on, like an ex-head analyst at Canaccord, COO of $1 billion corporation, an ex-auditor as our chair of our audit committee. I mean, what more could you want? But on its own, that's not a good enough reason to invest in a company. So maybe we look at the institutions that have invested in TriStar. RBC, US Global being our biggest shareholder. Oh, things are going quicker than they should have done. Is there any way we can go back there? And our shareholders there. Maybe you like to be aligned with the insiders and associates. We own about 25% of the company. Or maybe you like to follow the big corporations like Royal Gold, who come in and do a lot of due diligence and then make an investment into a corporation, banking on the fact that they're going to make money when this large-scale operation goes into production. So there's a whole lot of reasons there someone might come in and look at this company. But that's probably still not enough to make an investment, so let's have a look a little bit further. Maybe at resources, we have 700,000 ounces in gold resources, 1.8 million ounces of indicated. This has been growing, really nicely over the last few years. From when I took over, we had less than 300,000 ounces, and obviously now it's got to 0.7 plus 1.8 under 43-101. I'm not allowed to add those two numbers together, but I'm sure you guys can. But we do, as management, believe and understand this positive belief there's still quite a lot more here that we can uncover, but every CEO says that, so we need to look a little bit further. Maybe we should look at our pre-feasibility study we just published. From that resource base, we have now got 1.4 million ounces in mineral reserves, annual projected gold production of 120,000 ounces a year, but more importantly probably, phase one of the first 6 years, 150,000 ounces a year. In great economics, and a lot of good numbers there, but again, is that enough on its own to make an investment decision? I don't think it is. They're all great numbers, and there's a lot more to do there, but we still need to look at the other issues, the permitting, the location of this project. We're in Pará State, Brazil, the major mining jurisdiction there. We're not just in a great mining jurisdiction with a state government that's pro-mining. We're really the best location in that state, next to the highway, next to the power line, with a very supportive community. And on the Brazil side, we need to support Brazil. We need to support them in areas where they need to develop assets to keep them out of the Amazon. So we look at all of this and think that all the work, the ESG that we're doing, is that a good enough reason to go in and invest in TriStar? It probably still isn't. Why you would invest in TriStar is for one reason and one reason only. It's because you're going to make money on your investment. And you make money because the stars align with all of these things put together, only come together in one project, Castelo de Sonhos and TriStar Gold. Thank you very much. I think I made the three.
Wow, that presentation was spot on 3 minutes. So yeah, definitely a round of applause for that. George, will the stars align for you?
Thanks, Nick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, yes.
Okay, great. I'm glad you got to the point of where the project is and stuff like that with 45 seconds to go, because I followed the rules, so I didn't do any reading at all before we sat down. Great presentation, though, thank you. Tell me about Royal Gold. Are they in because they have a royalty or a stream, or what's the background there, please?
They came in 2 years ago on the back of our scoping study and bought a 1.5% NSR royalty for $8 million US. And sort of requested that we use that to get to the next major milestone, which was a pre-feasibility study.
Okay, sorry, just say that again. 1.5% royalty, did you say?
NSR.
Yep.
Yep, and they paid $8 million US for it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark?
What sort of grade and what sort of operating costs do you estimate you're going to have for this, all-in costs?
Reserve grade's about 1.1 grams a tonne. Our all-in sustaining cost was around $900 an ounce. I think we're very lucky on the operating costs. We went for, I'm trying to think of it now, but it's, I always think of the dollars per ounce, because that's the critical one to the market. So it's $900 an ounce. I think we're about $40 a gram to operate. It costs about $2.70 a tonne to own and operate mine. We're around $10 a tonne to process, and a couple of bucks of G&A in those round numbers.
Okay, thank you for that. Richard?
That's really interesting. I've got a question for you. Okay, so you're 1.1 grams per tonne. Magic number's normally about 2 grams. That's $60 a tonne revenue, assuming you get 100% recovery. How much is it per tonne to process? The whole lot? That's the total?
I think the processing cost was $866 if I remember offhand. We do get 98% recovery.
I mean total operating cost per tonne.
Total operating cost is, I can get that very quickly, but I can't get that very quickly. $27 a tonne.
Okay.
John?
Nick, thanks for the presentation. A big theme of the conference has been ESG. You've touched upon it lightly during your 3 minutes. Keen to better understand, given the proximity of the asset in the jurisdiction, can you shed us a little bit more light as to the ESG position of the company, as to what policies or committees or anything you might have in place?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do take it very seriously. We have an ESG or sustainability committee at a board level, and we also have a vice president of sustainability who works directly and reports to that committee. And I think we sort of adopt the philosophy that as a first world company, we need to go in and help Brazil develop assets in areas where they should be developing them, and that's the way we can help them stay out of the areas they shouldn't be. I mean, I'm aghast at what happens in the Amazon sometimes, but I do find it a bit harsh if people say to Brazil, oh, you can't do that if you don't give them an alternative to make a living. So I think we offer that alternative for them to responsibly develop assets in farming country where they're not destroying pristine environment and aid staying out of the Amazon. So I think our ESG is sort of focused on that. The best practices where we can, but there's the alternative on that helps people stay out of the Amazon as well.
Thank you.
Rob?
So I got a couple of quick questions. You had it on the previous slide, but what's the after-tax MPV of the project? And I think you said it was a 326 million capex. Is that correct?
It was 320 million was the MPV after tax.
Right.
The capex was 260 million.
260 million. And I guess the follow-up to that is, cost inflation in the mining sector right now is, like all inflation in the world right now. How recent is that number one? And I guess, do you expect that capex to go up given the input prices and given the global supply chain issues we're all seeing? So.
No, that's an October number, so that's recent. We published that in October this year. I will say that doing that pre-feasibility study, the hardest part of that study under the COVID world we're living in was getting that capex cost estimation correct. But I would consider it a very, very current number.
Right, thank you.
Nick, just a quick one. Obviously, a key thing for investors is people, project, price. So I was told that a long time ago, the 3 Ps. Who are the people in the company, and have they got any experience building projects in Brazil?
We have, as far as a board of directors, Carlos Valenia is our sort of main Brazilian component on the board. He's the head legal partner of Pinheiro Neto, is the largest law firm there. As far as building mines in Brazil, no. I did a management takeover of the company about 6 years ago with a development team to develop it through to feasibility, fully permitted. We will need another team to come in post that phase.
Okay, any more John?
One more P-related question. permits. Where are you with respect to the permits for the project?
Okay, having just completed our pre-feasibility study, that now has allowed us to do our impact analysis, which is being done as we speak. We have to do a little bit more wet season flora and fauna, which is being done now. It's the wet season down there now. And we will be filing our EIA, the REMA, as they call it in Brazil, in April, and we expect a 12, 18-month timeline for the preliminary license.
Thank you.
Feasibility study, what's the plans for that?
To be done in parallel with the preliminary license.
And who's going to badge that, and what's it going to cost you, and how much cash have you got?
That's the big question. We've got $6 million in cash right now, which is not enough for the feasibility study. So those are the discussions we're having internally, and what the $5 million will go towards.
And you haven't decided who would do it?
Not yet. I've got a preferred name in my mind, but I don't want to give it away to them because still want to negotiate.
Fair enough.
Well, thank you very much for that. That was and thank you very much, Nick, for actually dialing in all the way from Canada. Can we please give Nick a huge round of applause? But if my maths is correct, we had a very, very close contest, a very narrow winner by half a point. A warm round of applause to Nick Appleyard, CEO of TriStar Gold. Rob will be hand-delivering that bottle of champagne to you.
Nick, I'll keep it in my flat in Toronto, and when you're through, we'll break it out.
Okay, or anytime down in Scottsdale.
Well, actually, I must say, Jonathan has a home there, and he will be. I'll mention that. Maybe you guys can get together.
I think that all that leaves me to do is to go and thank the judges, also go and thank all four contestants. I thought all their pitches were really great. Thank you to Dundee Goodman for sponsoring the pitch battles. Actually, thank you to all the sponsors for this week, and thank you to everyone for turning up through obviously everything that's kind of gone on over the last few days. This is now the end of Minds and Money London 2021, but we hope to all see you again in 2022. Hope you all have a safe trip home. Thank you very much.